graduated, I became a senior hydraulic engineer. My main job is dealing with like risk assessments of local companies working on the power lines to restore power. In the middle is one of the biggest dams in Puerto Rico, and as you can see, there's no water flowing over it because when the storm came, it flooded much of the area, so there wasn't enough water to convey down the dam anymore. And then another thing that we look at is assessing the risk of failure of bridges. I'm not a structural engineer, but we can still do assessments. So we'll come in and we'll see if the city should rebuild or what they should do, how they can get access to areas that might not be accessible.
During my time at high school, just to get a few credits under my belt. And then I went to the University of Minnesota for a bachelor's in environmental engineering, and I also had a minor in Spanish studies.
Theresa Gant-Gaines, I'm a hydraulic engineer at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Fantastic. How did you get into this industry, or how did you choose to get into this particular industry?
So when I was first went to the U of M, actually I was going to go to West Point originally, but then at the last minute I couldn't go to West Point. The only other school I applied to was the University of Minnesota, and it was during the time where a lot of people weren't getting jobs out of college. They're very specific to the major you had, to the opportunity. So I'm like, okay, my mom has always had a job. She seems like she's doing a lot of cool things. She worked for the waterworks department. So that's when I decided, like, I think that'll work for me. I don't want to spend 4 years in school and then not be able to do anything after that. And I knew civil engineering was more of the diverse technical engineering careers. It's not as specific as others. There's a million different types of civil engineers, so that's why I thought it was my best option. Okay. Numbers, I guess. I don't know.
Fantastic. How are there a lot of different types of jobs at your company, the Army Corps of Engineers? Or can you share a little bit about the Army Corps of Engineers and who they hire from engineers to technology?
So Army Corps of Engineers is a federal organization, so we're all federal employees. It's basically anything that could have to do with environmental science, hydraulic engineering, hydrology. We even have a lot of permits that are sent out, so we have a lot of biologists, project managers. It's the 2-year program I did as an intern was to rotate around the different sections and see what those opportunities are. So they give you, there's so many things you can do with your career, and you can kind of piece together a career. You can move all around where they're doing different projects. Yours is very region specific, so like we do a lot of like cold weather stuff here, but you can go and do coastal engineering if you go to New Orleans or Texas or so.
Fantastic. What was your most challenging project, or what was your best or most fun project to work on?
Probably one project counts for both. So most challenging was the commerce levy system. It's down near Memphis. So in that area of the country, it's very political because people that are high up in Congress or other levels of government actually own land behind these levees. So there's a lot of like Southern family ties to these levees. So it's really political on where we build things or how we assess the risk of levees. So we walked into the room on the risk cadre, and they told us that we weren't welcome there because they didn't want to know what the risk was behind their levees because they care about profit. There's not that many people living behind them. So all the technical analysis we did was super challenging and fun, but they didn't want to see our results. And that was challenging. But in the end, we came up with a probability of failure that was consistent with what they were comfortable with. They were scared that they would have to raise levies or get extra flood insurance, things like that.
Gotcha.
But it ended up working out, but it was technically challenging. And then to also second guess yourself on your numbers, and then also no one wants to see them, it was kind of difficult things.
So in today's gap of, or not enough workers and plenty of open jobs in technology, as well as I'm sure engineering, what would you advise a student to get into based on the classes that you've spoken to today? You had indicated that your mother had influenced you in engineering.
Yeah, she also put this in a lot of summer programs. Any type of like nonprofit that's doing like even like a STEM weekend or something, just go meet people, network. You don't know what's out there until you go for it. Also, a lot of student groups I would go to, they had a lot of free food, especially for STEM ones. So in college, that was a big thing. There's always companies that are like looking, they're coming to hire you. So that's why they're coming to the university. They're coming to hire you. They have a list of jobs. just keep your resume updated and be open.
Sure. What advice would you give to a teacher in a high school classroom to help encourage them to pursue a technology or other STEM type degree?
I think just keep an open mind, because I know a lot of teachers, because I was a 3-sport athlete, they doubted that I even had the capacity for a STEM career. And then when I knew I was behind on, I needed pre-calculus, and then a couple teachers that had me in their classes said that they didn't think it was a good idea. Like even one teacher wouldn't approve it because he asked my mom, do you know what it takes to be a civil engineer? And he didn't know my mom was an engineer at the time. So just that type of pushback, but it's not based on anything concrete. It's just unconscious biases towards people. So I think as long as you just keep open mind, if someone has a dream about something, tell them they can do it. Like no questions asked.
Yep, absolutely. And so that's brand new for me. 3-sport athlete. What sports were you? What were your extracurricular activities?
So how I made good money was tennis. So we were, I went through a nonprofit tennis association in inner city Milwaukee, and we would learn how to play tennis. But then we would make like $50-$60 an hour tax-free coaching tennis. So we would, so I was a tennis instructor for a while. Then I played basketball until I stopped growing, which was kind of sophomore year. And then also track. So, but track was where I really excelled, and we got to travel a lot, traveled across the country, and so it gave me a lot of opportunities.
Fantastic. And from I'm going to throw in a bonus question here. We may not use all these, but on my other show, like from a year or so ago, we asked what you did for a living, what your education was, and then what you did for fun with your money. And so I have to ask that question. So with your money, or what are the things that you like to do? What are your hobbies? What are your hobbies? What do you do with all that money you make as an engineer?
Well, I pay my student loans. Well, I've had a break on that lately, but I buy a lot of sneakers. Boxing is my main sport right now that I'm doing, but it's not that expensive once you buy the shoes, because it's not, you need a lot of equipment to do it. So that's where I spend a lot of my money. I like cars. A lot of Lego sets. I did a Adidas sneaker Lego set lately.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited about what you've shared today. I think the students that were in the classes that you're participating in will benefit, and we appreciate you for coming out.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.